long decision makers irritate me. When I have a candidate that tells me I need a week to think about this, I'm like, really? We've been talking for 2 months during the interview process. Haven't you already thought about this? This kills me. It kills me.
Welcome to the Resilient Recruiter Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Whitby, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by David Fishman.
Aren't optics everything? When I'm recruiting for an executive search level position, but when I say I'm David Fishman calling from Los Angeles, California, their mind, if I'm talking to an executive in the US or in Mexico, their mind is that maybe I'm in a tall building in downtown LA. They don't know I'm in a bedroom because I have no office.
David is the founder of Sparrow Company, a binational executive search and staffing firm operating across the US and Mexico.
You know, a lot of people say in recruiting, I'm here to help people. And I understand that helping people is a byproduct of what we do, but I'm here to serve my clients. I'm here to fight for my clients. I'm here to be loyal to my clients.
With a 30-year track record, David has built a reputation for placing top talent across the full spectrum, from C-suite leaders to plant-level managers, primarily in manufacturing, engineering, supply chain, and tech.
I learned in 2009, feeling so alone, being only in one industry, and then the recession came, and what happened? There was no work. It was very, very tough. And I said one thing when I came out of the recession was, I want to work in multiple industries and at multiple levels and serve people with top talent.
David's company is based in El Paso, and Sparrow serves global clients ranging from Fortune 500s to private equity-backed firms, with placements spanning North America as well as Europe.
I have big dreams still. I want to wake up one day and be one of the best-known recruiting firms and staffing firms. I know for sure we're hitting it in El Paso.
David and I met through the Pinnacle Society, of which he is a member. He's also a frequent industry speaker, and he was named Staffing Professional of the Year by the California Staffing Professionals Association. In 2022, he expanded into the temporary staffing market, launching a second firm serving West Texas and Southern New Mexico. David, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much.
We have been talking about doing this for a couple of years now. I'm glad we're finally making it happen.
I am too. I've been patiently waiting, and it's been a whirlwind of a couple years and a lot to talk about here for sure.
All right. Okay. Awesome. I'm keen to get into that. Before we do, let's go back to the beginning. How did you get into recruiting?
Well, it's sort of a long story, so I'll keep it as short as possible. Long story short is my family members were in staffing. It first started with my mother, who ran a temporary staffing firm, and then my brother, who took that firm over and really blossomed his company. And at the end of my career in the Coast Guard, I actually tried a staffing company of my own in Los Angeles. And oddly enough, it was called Pinnacle Employment Group. But I was a little too young at that point, and I was probably going out too much and not focusing on business. We were located right there in the West LA and Beverly Hills border. Almost made it there. After that, I started selling industrial batteries in downtown Los Angeles for the electric forklift business for about a year. And then I joined my brother's company. It was sort of funny when he had me join. It's back in the older days where I learned right when I joined that he had a competition of 10 people and only 2 openings, and it was like a boot camp when I joined. I ended up being number 1 in that group and surviving the boot camp, joining staffing, and starting off in the temporary business for the first couple years. What was interesting too, about 6 months into it, my brother had sold the business, so I was part of an acquisition at that point, and there was a much larger temporary company that took us over. And 2 years into it, I was their only direct placement recruiter. All right, let's fast forward one more time. My brother Robert is his name. He runs a very successful staffing company to this day. I joined him in 2001. It was my birthday. It was the September 13th, 2001 was right after 9/11. Was an interesting time to start a staffing business.
Yeah, no kidding.
A very interesting time. And I stayed with him until 2009, where primarily I worked my way up as a recruiter, and ran a lot of the direct placement while he really handled all of a very, very large staffing company on the temporary side. In 2009 is when I started Sparrow. That was due to me wanting to start my own venture. I love my brother. I loved working with him, and he still this day is one of my biggest mentors. I mean, I remember when I first joined him, he said, "When you work in staffing, you just have to work half a day." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Just decide which 12 hours you want to work." Okay, stating that, hey, yeah, you have to put in time, effort, and hard work in staffing. In 2009 is when I started Sparrow Company, though, and I've been on my own ever since.
Awesome. So it's funny, my brother's birthday is September 13th as well. So
Oh, wow.
that's a good day to
And I
have a
share a
birthday.
twin brother as well. So there's at least three
Oh,
of us up there.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So what was your vision when you first launched Sparrow Company, and how did that vision evolve as the business grew?
My vision was one out of almost necessity. You have to understand, 2009, my largest client I had worked with, growing mainly in the cement and manufacturing, cement aggregates, ready mix concrete industry, which I still work in mining, which I still work a great deal with, along with manufacturing. But 2009, I wasn't a partner at my brother's company, and we went from a very large recruitment staff down to basically me on the direct placement side and a couple others. But it was out of necessity. I had to make a living, you know, and I realized that I needed to do that on my own. Okay. Um, it was one of the hardest periods of my career. I think in 2010, 2009, 2010, on my first year, I left majority of my clients. A majority weren't hiring due to the Great Recession.
Yeah.
I mean, that recession still scares me to this day. I mean, it was tough. And it's funny when we look at resumes every day and we see these 2006 to 2010 graduates and we see a little choppiness, we understand if we're old enough that that was the Great Recession. People weren't hiring, jobs weren't being filled. There were no jobs for a long time. In 2009, 2010 was my lowest year where I did 110,000 in placements and I barely squeaked by. Living in Southern California is not easy in the first place.
Yeah. Expensive
It's
cost of
very
living, you mean?
expensive,
Yeah.
and I had a lot of expenses. Let's put it that way. And I have a lot of kids. And so yeah, I used to always laugh going to these recruiting conferences, and there's somebody from Oklahoma, Nebraska, Texas, back when Texas was cheaper. And I'd say, where do you live? Oh, I have a 10-acre ranch or a 15-acre ranch. And I'm thinking, I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. I have to recruit. If I don't recruit, I won't eat, and my family won't eat at the end of the
Right.
day.
It's literally like you need to put food on the table and, yeah. Man, I get it. I had a similar experience 2008, 2009, but the debt like, basically, I I was underwater for, like, 18 months, and so I was living on credit cards because I couldn't pay myself out of the business because I wasn't generating enough revenue. And that debt took me, I mean, and the debt snowballs, right? Because you're then moving money from one credit card to another one. And so that it took me, even though the economy was better by like, I don't know, let's say 210, 211, it took me 10 years. Like it wasn't until like 2017, 2018 before I was completely back on top.
Mark, we have the same exact story when it comes to that. The same. I remember all I can say is thank you 0% interest cards during those days. Okay? Because you could really literally flip a card with 30,000 to another card with 6 months and no payments. Yeah, or whatever it was. It was 2018 where I finally was debt free from starting the business. And it was some hard years, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about recruiting. I learned a lot about life in general, that is. And, and I love what I do every day. So it's not like I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it.
Look, I'd love to follow up on that just a little bit. Like, what is a lesson that you learned from that lowest point? And is there anything about that whole period that you're grateful for?
Number one, I'm always grateful for my brother Robert, who brought me into the business, and I learned so much from. I think probably what I've learned most about recruiting is you have to be determined, and it's not a part-time job. You see all these Instagram. It's funny. I watch all these different Instagram ads now. Recruit part-time, recruit in the evening, recruit with AI, and just work 4 hours in the evening. No, recruiting is putting your head down and working every single day. It's working at nighttime. It's taking calls at 5 in the morning. It's whatever. You're there to serve the client. Okay. I have an interesting, unique view of recruiting. A lot of people say in recruiting, I'm here to help people. And I understand that helping people is a byproduct of what we do. But I'm here to serve my clients. I'm here to fight for my clients. I'm here to be loyal to my clients and all the above. So I think if you take, impulsivity, curiosity, tenacious, determination, all these things will make you a better recruiter.
There's a number of things I want to follow up there, but to your point about those Instagram reels that you see that make it look like recruiting is easy, I always laugh when I see those. Do you know the height was it's sort of 21, 22, and I was seeing a lot of Facebook ads for like training and coaching programs, which took people with no recruiting background, no experience, who already had a full-time job, and they were going to do this as a side hustle. And they made it sound really easy. Like you just, you use automation and you get job orders from companies, and then, on LinkedIn, and then you find candidates on LinkedIn, and then you send the resumes, and cha-ching, you make 20, 30, $40,000 checks. And they even on the website, I clicked over just because I was curious, right? I was like, hey, maybe this is a competitor of ours. Like, let me investigate this. And they had like pictures of like the checks on the website and everything. And I was like, wow, this makes it sound so good. It makes me want to become a recruiter again. But like, this doesn't match the experience of the hundreds of recruiters that I talk to who are in the trenches and,
Every single
you
day.
know, every day. And they need that. And as you said, the grit, the determination, right? And it definitely isn't a part-time job, and it isn't easy for sure. Um, so look, just bottoming out this conversation about the period of time when you started your business. Um, is there now you've been doing this for 30 years now,
Absolutely. This is my 30th year.
which is phenomenal. What is one belief or behavior or habit that you think has positively impacted your performance, allowed you to become a member of the Pinnacle Society and enjoy the longevity and sustain? Now, as you've just described, it's been up and down, but you if we look at that period, nobody could say this is a hugely successful business. That sustained success and longevity.
I think probably uh, I'm a dreamer every single day. Every
Okay.
single day. I'd still
What
dream
do you mean
big.
by that?
I mean, I visualize, I dream, I love my job. I probably this year has been a really interesting year because I'm fully back on the desk again. Okay. All right. I'm always knee deep in deals. Okay. I love deals. I love the hunt, and I love the close and all the above. But probably what sustained myself is I have the ability to wake up, even this morning, so excited about this podcast, so excited to talk about what I've done. Years ago, I used to write for the Fordyce letter. It was like this print. And after that point, we I was just busy. I haven't been involved in those type of things. What also got me through the recession was I was training some staffing companies in California and whatnot. I had to do Also, okay, creating different revenue streams is what I'd say helped me out the most. I'm always consistently creating different revenue streams, and I could get into that on how the different revenue streams and staffing that you can create.
I would love to talk about that in a minute. So we have a lot in common, David. Like I still am a daydreamer, thinking big. I feel like I'm in my early 50s now, but I'm only just getting started, and I've got plans for world domination. So, um, tell me. So let's just get a snapshot of the current, because you said 2025 has been an interesting year. I think that's a good way of characterizing it. What's the sort of size and shape? So you've got two offices, right? You're in El Paso, and do you have an office in Mexico as well, or you
Well,
just recruit
actually,
there?
so I still live in Los Angeles.
Oh,
Okay,
I see. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
This is an interesting story. In 2014, we had a very large client ask me to start recruiting in Mexico. Okay, I was recruiting. This is in the auto parts in the auto sector,
Yeah.
and they're a tier one provider of wheels, basically. One of my great clients, who's still a client today, he said, "Hey, David, we're having trouble recruiting in Chihuahua, Mexico." Now, there's a lot of coincidences in Mexico. My wife Maria is from Mexico. I have staff in Mexico, and our largest client that I've served for 30 years is based in Mexico too. So a lot of people presume I got to Mexico through one of our large multinationals, but it actually was through something in the automotive tier one business. They were having trouble, and so I raised my hand because they said, "Hey, you have to get incorporated in Mexico to work with us." I said, "Sure, I can do that." And I always say, be careful what you wish for, because Mexico is a very, very bureaucratic. We think about California and whatnot. It's very, you have a lot of legal. You dot your i's, cross your t's. Have labor firms, law firms supporting you to make sure you're doing things correctly. So that's how I got into Mexico. Right now we have. Right now I'm based in Los Angeles, and in about 2021, I'm very impulsive, okay? And in 2021, we had I actually let's rewind. 2019, I dreamed about El Paso, okay? I wanted to find a city that I could draw a circle around, and I could attack that circle through marketing, through relationships, through getting involved. I'm very involved with the Chamber of Commerce. I've been on some of their board as a board member with them, not on a secondary board. And hopefully this year I'll be in the board of directors of the Chamber of Commerce in El Paso. And but in 2019, I woke my son up in Los Angeles and said, "Hey, let's go." I told my wife, "I'm going to go buy a house in El Paso." Are you crazy? What's going on? I had been coming here for Mexican trade shows. It sits right on the border,
Yeah.
Juarez and El Paso, and you'll learn that Juarez and El Paso is one community. It's one community. It's a binational city. So I'd been coming here, and I said this would be a great place to start. 2019, bought a home here. Said everybody thought I was crazy. In 2021, I bought an office building here. Okay, and in 2022, we started the temporary staffing company here. I also did something I've never done before. I brought on a business partner named Manuel. We call him Manny, and he. I basically stalked all the temporary salespeople in El Paso. And I would ask him out for lunch, for dinner, and Manny stood out. And he had a lot of working for a very large national firm. And there was nothing. Why would he join me on a dream if he didn't have a piece of the business? So we created a Sparrow Journal partner, which is Sparrow staff in El Paso, Las Cruces area. And so that helped me. I'm such a dreamer. I can't do it all though, correct? I mean, every single day, my mind was just I was always trying to market this and market that. But since he joined us, we are a sustainable staffing company, and I believe with all my heart, with everything, that we will be number one in this region of Texas within the next year. Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah. And we're devoted to El Paso as well. But I love Los Angeles. I'm going to fly home this evening back to La Habra, California. It's 20 miles from downtown, 12 miles from Disneyland, and 15 miles from the beach. So I'll be going back there tonight.
Awesome. So, what's the size of the business now? Like you said, you're still on a desk, or you've gone back to being on a desk. But how many employees do you have, and what's the so you have the staffing and you have the executive search. So, what's the mixture? Can you just give
Okay,
us a little more
absolutely.
context?
Okay, right now we have a total, I believe, of 12 people. Now, a lot of those 12 people are involved in different things. Okay, number one, we have 3 direct placement recruiters. It's myself. It's Marion from Monterrey, Mexico. She's been with me for 7 years. Actually, we have 4. Let me back up. Okay, we have 4. So myself, Marion VR, and we have Britley, who is my oldest child, who is doing incredible in the business. And she's been with us for 5 years at least. And we have a gentleman named Terry. Terry's the most interesting. He's a great friend of mine, though we don't see each other much. We see more on Teams meetings. Terry worked for my largest client, and he was my client for 18 years. The company, and he was in human resources. And I feel very strongly about human resources, by the way. Human resources is why I'm here right now, and I can explain that. So Terry was always impressed of how I recruited. And when the company sold one of their cement plants off to another company, he was up in Ohio area, and he was sort of forced into early retirement. All right, unless he wanted to move at that point, and he didn't want to move. So Terry and I started talking, and we had dinner one time, and he said, "David, I'd like to join your firm." That was 8 years ago. Yeah, and he's getting older now, and so now he works a part-time desk. He's our one part-time. So we have 4 direct placement recruiters. Now, out of those recruiters, we also have 3 researchers. Okay, and they're not. I don't want to. Research is so important. I mean, they're feeding the coal to the engine, correct? Without candidate flow, you have nothing. Okay. Yeah. So we have Lila in she's in Saltillo, Mexico. We have Samaritana in Monterey. Okay. And then we have my son Noah, who's here in El Paso. The one I woke up at when he was much younger, and he went into the uh, wind farm business and climbing those big towers. And one day I said, after a few years of working hard, that you can come to El Paso if you like and work here. And so we have those. We also have in El Paso we have Manny, who's who's my business partner, and we have Angie. We also have our general manager from Mexico in Tijuana, Mexico, Eduardo Macias, and he has been with me for 11 years. We have Samaritana's been 7 years, Marion 7. We have a really strong tenure with our company.
Absolutely. I mean, that is an absolute key to building a strong business is having that tenure with your best people, having been with you a while, where that's where you get the client satisfaction, the continuity, and the profitability is having that core team.
Absolutely. And then we also have on our admin side, we have my sister Janet, who when our mother passed away in many years ago, I said, "Hey, I'll never visit you in Atlanta, but if you wanted to move to El Paso, uh, that would be awesome." And she moved to El Paso, and she supports a lot of administration. And we also have my daughter Adriana, who works with our accounting and payroll, and she's in California. So I think every one of my kids, from Isabella to Alexia, Noah, Bradley. I mean, they've all had some part in this business at one point in their lives.
That's awesome. Okay, so that gives me a good snapshot. And how's 2025 going so far? Because it's been a weird couple of years, and this year in particular is just no one knows what the hell is going on, right? It's like there's it's a lot. There's a lot happening in the world right now, and but how's that impacting on you guys?
It's let me talk about that real quick. I don't want to forget about a couple very key people in our
Oh,
organization.
please, yeah.
We have Zaida, who joined us a year and a half ago, and she's our operations coordinator. For years, we never kept metrics. For years, we were just shoot from the hip. Since actually we had a Saltillo office, and whenever you have to. When I moved to El Paso, I realized that we needed people in Juarez and not in another part of Mexico. So we did have a large organization with 4 other people, but I refined that, and that was some very good people, some of my best friends. It was very, very tough to downsize the business and to reorg the business, but I had to do it. And then when I hired Zaida, she was key in continuing what we had started from Saltillo of keeping metrics, and she also keeps me in line and really helps me on my desk. Keep moving forward, because if you get distracted working a desk, it's really tough. I believe I always want to recruit. I want to recruit until I can't recruit anymore, but I need operational people around me. So that's a couple other of people. And if I missed anybody else, I apologize. Now, getting back to 2025, 2024 was tough. Wow. Who would have thought we woke up? We had these huge years after COVID. Huge. We're just shooting. I always say we're leaning back. It was like shooting baskets, you know? And then you wake up and you're in a knife fight for every dollar that you need. You're like going, what happened? And you're sort of like the person who up from 2003 to 2007 that we could do no wrong, you know? And you wake up and somebody punches you in the face. However you want to look at it, 2024 was tough. I believe that every year has patterns. I know their patterns. I have statistics on these patterns. Every year, all you're doing from January to May is feeding off deals from the previous year. And you get some new deals February, March. We have our strongest month for the last 4 years has been January, oddly enough. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's January. I used to believe when I was a young recruiter, I went for like 10 years and never closing one February deal. And now February, you have enough in the pipeline that the wave rolls over into February. I was so superstitious about February. I was like, no, February is coming. I can't close a deal, and so I think 2024 was a year where things started changing, and we were cutting. We had to uh, leave the office Saltillo. We're getting focused more on Monterrey, Mexico, continuing with clients in Tijuana, and um, and then we have Juarez right next to us. So why am I commuting back and forth to Monterrey all the time to go to the other office? And so we're refining the business. So we had a lot of changes there. I was off my desk some, and we had a lot of pent up demand in 2024. We started waking up around September, October and saying, wow, I feel something happening again. And you have to be quick as a recruiter, correct? You have to have the ability to change very fast. I talk a lot about Mexico, but still Mexico is typically about 25% of our invoicing. Okay? Okay. If I get too concentrated in Mexico, then our US clients may suffer. Okay? So I really started focusing on larger so everything that comes through in our business that is a pretty much a $30,000 placement or above is on my desk now. I want to say I'm Superman, but I have some amazing support. You understand, like I talked about.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm the exact same. I can't work with I would not be able to perform at my best without my team. I'd
Yeah,
be all over the place.
absolutely. But I will tell you that a lot of these deals I do work completely on my own. We went through a period last year where 9 placements in a row was the first presentation we presented. Okay.
Wow, that's
Okay.
insane.
I believe in target recruiting. I believe in uh, the right candidate. I tell my clients sometimes, don't, a lot of clients say, "Oh, we don't want to see it can't be the first one, but it will be the first one." I have the ability after 30 years. I had, I'm always amazed when I look at resumes. It took me a while going from paper and sitting back and looking at a resume and going, I know exactly that this is the person. Without, as long as they want to move, as long as they that there's a salary increase for them. But I and all of our recruiters are trained pretty much from me, so they all develop. I mean, it's just amazing. Marion in Monterey, she works both sides of the border, U.S. jobs and Mexican. She is a nail in the head recruiter, I call her. The first presentation is probably going to be the right one. And that freaks our clients out sometimes, or our prospective clients.
You need to warn them in advance and say, by the way, like, we're not going to, blast you with resumes. We're going to send, like, it might just be one. You need to hire. We're going to, because we've already done the pre selection for you. And everybody we send you is someone hireable that could be awesome at this job. So if we only send you one, then that's the one.
Yeah. And I believe in running the best horse, you know. I mean, there's tactics that recruiters use, correct? I learned a long time ago that I used to believe I can fit square pegs into round holes. I could do anything. I could make any placement. Just let me get out of my way. Let me do this placement. Well, you learn that some placements aren't meant to be, correct? And you know inside of you, inevitably this is not going to be the right person for the job. So about probably 5 years, I said, enough of this. Let's get the right exact fit. Let's make it good for both sides. You know. Now I'm not saying that that was every deal, but recruiters who are good, you have to be careful. We have ethics to live by. We don't want to manipulate deals. I mean, do we put blocker candidates out? Yes, that's a tactic. If I want to, if I know they're using other recruiters, we are all contingent. I'm zero retained. Okay, I I learned a long time ago when somebody pays me up front, I have no drive at that point. I
Really?
literally don't.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite, but
Uh,
it's interesting how we're all wired differently. So,
yeah. I just like, why am I going to chase this if I already received the check? You know.
but you've only
Well, I know,
received.
but I want the whole thing. I want to be number one. I want our firm to land in first place, and I believe that our firm is better than a majority out there. Okay, I I I wholeheartedly believe that. So getting back to this, yeah. There's a lot of tactics we can use, but it's really the right person for the right opportunity. Okay. And when you learn that, you learn you don't really have to manipulate a good deal, correct? A good deal is going to come together. Yeah. When I was talking about blocker candidates, real quick, yeah, where you put somebody up there to buy you time. Now, are you sincere? Yeah, I'm sincere that this person can do the job, but I don't have that feeling inside of me. But will buy me another week or two to find the right person.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate here for a second on the
Sure.
contingency, David, because in the way you're operating, where you're sending like one or only a few candidates, is risky in a contingent search. So I would be in a contingent search, if I know that a candidate is also registered with my competitor, even if I don't think they're the best, I'm going to send them anyway, right? Because
Absolutely.
what I don't want, because my worst case, my nightmare scenario is I screen them out, my competitor sends them, and
Oh, it's
like
happened, Mark, to us.
I learned long ago that it's try not to guess which candidate the client is going to like best because it's not always the one that I think. And sometimes, and so they hire that other candidate through the competitor. And I say to the client, tell me, why did you hire her? We actually ruled her out. And they give whatever reason. But so in a contingent search, you're going to be less, at least again, this is how I think, you're going to be less picky about who you send because you just need to make sure that you're covering all your bases. And when you said block your candidate, I thought you meant block the competition by making sure that you basically.
Well, it could be that. It could be blocking the competition. It could be also buying time to find the right candidate. As long as you know that candidate's qualified to take the position. I'm not going to just put somebody up there. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right, right.
But when talking about competition, yes, that has happened to us where we find out that candidate A, who I ripped apart when who I just thought was not the right fit, and then they're hired by the company, and you realize that recruiting firm B, C, or D, who are your competitors, um, presented them, or you realize they're already in your system, whatever it might be. Um, yeah. So getting back to retain, maybe I'm not retained because maybe I'm still afraid to ask for a retainer. Maybe that's really what it is. Maybe if you want to get real here, maybe I'm still afraid to ask for a retainer. Maybe I don't know how to ask for a retainer. You understand? Um, because I've been with these clients for many years, and we have new clients every year. But maybe that's what it is, and maybe because wouldn't it be nice to know that the deal is locked? Maybe I would feel like I might get a little lazy though. I mean, I've done a few. I mean, I've done this 30 years, so obviously I've done watered down retainers. I do a down payment on jobs. I do those type of creative things. But maybe at the end of the day, maybe I should open my eyes and my thought process to
All
like,
right.
isn't this
Well,
better to
I
grow?
have hopes of converting you yet to
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I am the evangelist on working retained or engaged. I don't really mind which it is, but the client
yeah.
pays money up front. But look, I don't want to get too caught up on that. I want to learn from your experience and everything that you've done. So one thing that's interesting about your practice is you've placed people at all levels, from C-suite to plant supervisors.
Absolutely.
Now, a lot of people say not to do that because it confuses the client. And they like if you place someone who is maybe a contributor or a middle manager, they won't take you seriously for the leadership roles. So, what's your approach to developing like a client so that they perceive you? Because a lot of it's about perception, right? They perceive you as the person who they go to for everything instead of Sparrow does this or Sparrow does that.
Let's talk about human resources. Okay.
Yes, you mentioned that earlier.
Okay. When I go to recruiting conferences or I go to Pinnacle, when I was younger, everybody said HR is evil. Go to the hiring manager. Okay. I started on a temporary desk where the HR manager would call us and say, "Hey, I need 4 people for this operation. I need 10 for this operation." I remember being a young recruiter, seeing that still with 2 of my clients, saying, "Hey, I see a mechanical engineering opening," and they say, "Hey, you're our temp guy, but can I have an opportunity? Can I have an opportunity?" When you work temporary markets, you get much closer to your clients because people are on your payroll, and you have to go out to see the site. You have to understand where, and if they're in a rock quarry, if they're in a heavy industrial cement plant, uh, you really gain a lot of communication. So in the recruiting side, I grew up 100% with the old HR guard and the new HR guard. I was lucky enough to get a client named David, who unfortunately passed away last year, who was an HR director when my largest client, when a client of mine was taken over by another client, and I was lucky enough to stay on through the acquisition and the recruiting. David, yeah, David was an amazing man, and he, to this day, 3 to 4 people I still work with were young HR managers that worked for David. Okay. And I used to think we're friends. Yes, we're friends, but we don't go hang out. In the late 90s, early 2000, we would still get on the airplane and take them out to dinner, take them out for drinks. You know, Also being part of associations has helped me a lot and all that. But majority of our hiring people were human resources. Okay. And I've stayed with them for years. And human resources uh, are really the key. I play by the rules. Okay. I asked permission. Just yesterday, I placed a director of a plant, and the HR department, we're working with them on a maintenance manager position right now. And I said, do I have permission to call this plant director? Because I really want to talk about this job. I haven't had a response yet. I asked permission to do things. All right. I don't call hiring managers and all these things above. And let's don't forget about the different types of placements. Starting on a temp desk once again, I was placing administrative people. I was placing manufacturing people. I believe that every job, it only gets easier when you get hired, number one. Okay. Just today, we have a person starting in a quarry. Talk about quarry. I'm back to a lot of cement customers as a temporary here in El Paso. And Manny and Angie went to go check him in at 6 a.m. for his first day.
Awesome.
That type of thing. So you learn to do different placements. I believe all jobs of mechanics are the same.
I just want to pause here to signpost this section of the conversation, because what's so interesting is a lot now, especially in the States. It's not as much of a thing here, but there seems to be this separation between, like, temporary is over here and like permanent direct hire, and especially executive recruiting is over here, and they're completely different. They're not even in the same type of business, and like there's no movement back and forth. Like if you do one or you do the other. Now, to me, that doesn't make sense, because if you look at the biggest recruiting firms in the world, like Robert Half is one, they do both, right? They do
They do both.
permanent,
Yeah.
they do temporary, they do contract. But a lot of people have in their mind that you can't do both. You choose which one or the other because they're so different. But you're about to tell us that the mechanics are the same. So please
All
tell me
the
that story.
mechanics are the same. For instance, if I'm working, I filled this president, for a very large multinational privately held company, but the search mechanics are the same. We receive the job order, we do the intake. In this case, we go out. We don't have a bank of candidates, and when I was talking about LinkedIn, like we have all the information at our fingertips. I mean, really, isn't it great? People go, "Oh, I don't pay you to go to LinkedIn, or I don't pay you to go to another site." And we have also 70,000 people in our candidate database, but from different backgrounds. So this is what makes it interesting. And we're not going to have 70,000 presidents. We're not going to have 70,000 vice presidents. They're everything from administrative to manufacturing, engineering, heavy industrial companies, and all the above. So when you get a deal, you find the candidate, you present the candidate, they're interviewed, they're hired. Okay, it's the same thing. And if I could just, I am an evangelist in recruiting that all the mechanics are the same, except it gets easier because I always tell you vice presidents are vice presidents because they call you back. All right. All right. A maintenance supervisor, real quick, a maintenance supervisor who is at my age in their upper 50s, okay, most likely won't return your phone call, and most likely is not happy in their life, unfortunately. They've been doing this for 30 years. They're a maintenance supervisor. They don't have a college degree in this multinational company. They'll never be the maintenance manager. So they're unhappy. You call them about another position, they've heard every call in the book. Okay. Vice presidents are more curious, correct? and curious people call you back. So I always say it gets easier as you go higher.
I agree 100%, and that's been my experience as well. So, but you've not answered my question really about the perception of the client that, like you said, well, when you start on a temporary desk and you would ask for an opportunity, and sometimes you would get an opportunity.
That's where it started. Yeah, that's where it started. So I believe in never overstepping my boundaries. A lot of my clients have left me and come back through the years. I mean, they would somebody would get transferred and I'd lose my foot in the door and I have to work to get back into it. Um, but I've always promoted our company as executive search and staffing. And
I
you
saw
mentioned
that in
Robert
your
Half.
banner. It's both. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Robert Half. You mentioned Adecco. You didn't mention this, but you look at Adecco. You look at any of the temporary staffing companies, whether we like it or not, and whether think we're the executive search, they're doing direct placement also.
Yes, they are.
Okay. Yeah. They're doing direct placement also.
I was looking at it today, the biggest search firm. So it's Randstad is the biggest. Um, Adecco is number 2, and then I can't remember the exact order, but
Manpower Group.
Manpower, yep. There's a Japanese one in there, and then there's Hayes is a UK one, and Robert Half is an American one. But yeah, they're the big publicly quoted companies. You might think of them as temporary staffing, but they place FDs, vice presidents, whatever they can get. Basically, they're going to fill it.
So I always promoted staffing company at the end of our tagline. In front of our building, it's a Sparrow Company. I have a big sign up there. Everybody sees it when they drive through in El Paso, right off the freeway. Executive search and staffing. Yeah, so I incorporated it all. I mean, some of the most interesting placements we've done in the last couple of years. Well, we've done a president. So last year or this year, this year we've done with the 3 recruiters on the direct side, and we have other revenue streams which we could talk about. On the direct side, we've done $976,000 for 3 of for our team. Okay, 976 average fee $31,501.
And we're only halfway through the year.
Yeah, we're only halfway through, but it only gets tougher in summer.
Okay.
It's always like it just becomes hard. It just becomes hard. It's just you got to put your head down and work. Our highest placement this year was $120,000 fee.
Wow.
And
Nice.
our lowest placement was $4,440.
Wow. That's
Okay.
the biggest range I think I've ever heard.
Yeah. Okay. So if we placed a farm manager last year for a small farm, and it was a $6,000-$7,000 deal, the same mechanics. Okay, you had to go find that farm manager, correct? All right. We place engineering professionals at all levels. And remember, if they're a maintenance manager at a multinational, you already know they're qualified for a maintenance director position. If you look at everything's about tenure, isn't it, of a candidate? All right. It might be education. And by the way, I don't have a college degree. I never went to college. Okay, my twin brother is a PhD professor, but I didn't go to college. My older brother didn't go to college. Okay, yeah, it's sort of hard work and being there and working every day.
You have a PhD in getting results.
Getting results. 4,440 lowest, 120. We had 2 deals that I worked this one deal this year where I was working with this company, and they liked both the candidates so much they hired them both. It was one of the rare times.
I love it when that
happens.
happens.
Yeah. They hired them both, and that was the combination of the two was 138,000. Okay. We placed a year and a half ago a chief economist for a very large publicly traded company.
Wow, that's cool.
Okay, that was they're global. I called up a Citibank Banamex. It was for a Mexican company, and I remember cold calling this gentleman on like a Saturday morning. And aren't optics everything? When I'm recruiting for an executive search level position, hello, my name is David Fishman. I noticed your profile. we obviously go through the Zoom infos, we get the phone numbers, we get everything. I believe in cold calls. Yeah, I don't want. Yeah, I believe in in-mails too. I believe in in-mail, call, text, in-mail, call, text. Okay, but when I say I'm David Fishman calling from Los Angeles, California, their mind, if I'm talking to an executive in the U.S. or in Mexico, their mind is that maybe I'm in a tall building in downtown LA. They don't know I'm in a bedroom because I have no office doing cold calls. Now we have an office here in El Paso, and I love the office environment.
Yeah.
Since I bought the building, I just love the office. But so people perceive different things, you know? And so, yes, it's all about the mechanics and it's about picking up the phone and calling. But I mean, the chief economist was like, wow, we placed their global economist, you know? Um, or wow, we placed the president, but wow, we placed a maintenance supervisor 15 years ago who's now as a vice president. And I talk about HR. Early in my career, working with human resources, it gave me the opportunity to place at least 10 to 15 HR managers, all of which who I still work with just about. I keep talking to HR. Well, I placed a lot of human resources professionals, and a lot of them now are vice presidents. A lot of them now are CHROs and some of them I didn't place, and I placed a lot of HR, and that's always fed me for years to come.
So, David, there's a couple more things I want to ask you. One is about the HR thing, and the second, I want to hear about the multiple revenue streams that has helped you throughout the years. Um, I understand when recruiters feel frustrated working with HR. I sympathize with that. Um, because so my experience has been, I've got not all, it's the same as every walk of life and every job title. Not all people are the same, right? Just because they have the same job title, we shouldn't put them all in the same box. Because you have people who are extremely intelligent, they get it, right? They understand the benefit you bring to the business. They understand how you help each other and collaborate to be able to fill the position, find the best person. But then there's others that feel territorial, that feel threatened, who want to they want you to only talk to them. You're not supposed to talk to the business, and which makes our job very difficult because you don't have all the information and you don't get prompt feedback and so on. So if you're in a situation where you're dealing with an HR person who's in that latter category where they say, no, you don't talk to the president, you talk to me and I'll get the feedback and I'll relay it to you, right?
Yeah,
Which to me, that is not a workable search. I'm walking away from that at this point. But how do you negotiate how do you win that person over so that they understand
and
that you're
believe me, that happens to us. Working with human resources, that happens with us a lot. Number one, I've learned patience is key in life.
okay?
If you're in it for 30 years, if you're a recruiter, if you're a young recruiter and you're 27, 25 right now, and I can think of a couple in Pinnacle, some of the younger people that are coming in who just are there. I'm so impressed by what they're doing, and they'll be in it for 30 years. You have to be patient because things will change. That HR manager will leave the company,
Right. Or get fired or whatever. Or
or
yeah.
something's going to happen.
Yeah.
You find that people that over one are too controlling usually don't last in these large organizations. Okay. But if it's a specific search and you can't get to them, um, it's all about negotiations, correct? I mean, you just learn to negotiate with people, and you understand and you respect their position. And I understand, John or Jack or Jill, that this is your position to work on. But I need something from you, and I really have to have that talk with the hiring manager. And I really need to CC that hiring manager to get direct feedback because you're doing such a great job at what you do. You're working several positions, corporate recruiters. I mean, corporate recruiters, I think they're harder than the HR managers to work with.
Yeah. True. True.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they really, really feel like we're in competition. And in the very beginning, I tell them, we're not in competition. We're here to assist you. We're here to assist your team and making it better. My largest client, I have placed hundreds of people with. hundreds, from temporary to direct to other revenue streams, which we'll talk about. Okay. I realize that when I place somebody out of college and now they're a plant manager at one of our biggest clients, I have contributed, or we, Sparrow, have contributed to their team. You know, and when we helped the direction of that multinational company, when you can say that you've placed 200 plus direct placements in a company, okay, and you can go to any location, whether it's their corporate offices or whether it's a plant or a service center, and a salesperson, and the salesperson is now EVP of sales. Okay, you realize right then that that's the fun thing, isn't it? We've changed the direction of a very large company, and we actually are part of their team. And so, getting back to corporate recruiters, I understand this is your job, but I'm here to contribute to make your job better. Period. You know? And when I always say is that fierce loyalty towards my clients has been one of my success factors. Fierce loyalty. Everybody knows in our organization we get mad with searches, but if one of our team members says, "I hate this company because of this," that doesn't that's not in our. No, you don't talk about our client. Our client feeds us. We can be frustrated with our client, but we're here to serve them, and we're here to serve to give them the best talent deliverable. Period.
I never understood that. You see that a lot in recruitment where people will obviously be polite to the customer, but then when they hang up the phone, they're like complaining and going on about how terrible they are. I don't understand that. I think either like, well, first of all, this is a service job, so you know th- they're paying for all of this, including your commission and everything else. So why, like, we should love the customer, right? That's their source of
Absolutely.
everything that we're trying to do. But if there's a values conflict, or they're just disrespectful, or for whatever reason you you're finding that it's untenable to work with them, don't work with them, right? Just, you don't have to work with everybody, but if you are choosing to work with, and it's a choice, you're choosing to accept the search to work with that customer, then, why would you complain about them at the same time? Like, I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And also, um, yeah, I mean that when you deal with a track record with most of your clients, I keep saying most. We have so many new clients as well. I can think of one of our newer clients in the last 3 years who's probably filled at least 10 positions with them now,
Amazing.
and it came from a Google marketing campaign. Okay. Uh, by the way, I went through a period with I believe in utilizing technology. Period. Okay, utilize technology. It makes your job easier. We all want to say we're cold calling 50 companies a day. That's from the very beginning of it. When we started with the yellow pages, all right, and call 50 a day. Well, if you're calling 50 new people a day, this is a bunch of BS. Okay. In about 4 weeks, you have 200 that you're doing. And then in 8 weeks, you have 400. You can't follow up 400. I believe in the top 50 list. I believe in the top 100 list. I believe saying, hey, make a list of 50 clients you want to work with, and then just hit those 50 clients and don't go out of those 50 clients. Okay. Because if everybody's saying, "Oh, 50 marketing calls a day," but what does that really mean anymore? 50 marketing calls. It could be an email. It could be a text. It could be whatever. Okay. Now, I don't believe in sending out one email with 50 people and saying it was a marketing thing. I believe once you send out the 100-person email, then you start following up with those 100 people, or the 100 companies, whatever it might be. Yeah. So I think you utilizing the technology I forget what the original question was, but
That's all right. We have a strategy that we teach our clients. Well, I didn't invent it. It came from a guy called Chet Holmes, who is a brilliant sales trainer. He wrote a book called The Ultimate Sales and Marketing Machine. So he had this concept of the Dream 100. So who are your top 100 ideal customers? And let's really intensively go after those 100 and over a sustained period of time. You mentioned patience. You're not going to win them all overnight, but you're going to just be so determined, persistent, creative, and using every channel available to you: phone, email, LinkedIn, text, video, carrier
knocking
pigeon.
on their door,
Not, yeah, go in,
whatever. Yeah,
exactly. See them at a
yeah.
conference, whatever it takes. But the idea is that these are your ideal prospects, and we're just going to have this relentless campaign over time to see how many of them we can win. And I always
We
love
can
that.
land.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So I believe in those type of things. I believe in patience is that now there's recruiters going out on their own that they have to eat. They have to eat. And I always tell the recruiters that have to eat, just stick to your ethics and your values during this time because you have to put your shoes on your kids or whatever it might be. Okay. When you're doing this for 30 years, you have the luxury of saying, I have a core base of 10 customers that feed us at least 600,000 a year. Okay. I know I'm good for 1 million every year. Okay. But how to get 1.5, how to get 2 million? You understand? Because you're going to have new customers to do that. But hopefully it's easier once you're getting new and they're sticking with you as well. Now, some of our newer customers, 3 to 5, 6 years working in Mexico and manufacturing, who now they use us in the US as well. So Mexico has been a nice entry point for manufacturing companies. And they said, "Oh, you recruit in the US also?" Absolutely, we do. And all of our staff is bilingual. They can recruit for Mexico, they can recruit for the US.
That is a cool USP. Not many firms can say that. Google marketing campaigns. Tell me about that.
Well, we was the most amazing thing. Years ago, there was this one marketing firm that was really towards the recruiting companies, and I met them originally through a Pinnacle Society conference. I believe in our sponsors in Pinnacle. I try to go out with them because they're devoting their time. Right now, uh, that this is how most of our connections have come through marketing and such as through Pinnacle. But we have this one firm, and for whatever reason, they dumped all their clients who were below 5 million a year or something. But we got started with a Google campaign, and we one of their people stayed on as a contractor through us, and we were just Google advertising in Mexico. Mexico headhunting firm, this that, only targeting U.S. companies operating in Mexico. I always say that Mexico is like they people think it's like just this desert place with donkeys going across, whatever they get in their vision. No, Mexico is a multinational leader in the world. Okay. And there is just billions of dollars of US, German, French, Japanese, Chinese companies operating there. Okay. And so we were doing this Google advertising campaign through this great guy named Jeremy, and most of our business was just coming from that. But holding on to those, that was like 4 or 5 years ago, and we still held on to a lot of those clients. Okay, now we're doing a marketing campaign where there's a company called Echo Gravity who they I met at this last Pinnacle, and we signed a deal with them, and they're starting a new marketing campaign. We had turned it off for a long time, and for some reason, keywords had switched, and we were sort of throwing money in a bucket without understanding where it was at. And so we paused that campaign. We're back with a new company. So we're going to start with Mexico, then we're going to move to the US. And I'm also starting these different talent sites right now where I'm going to be hiring recruiters here in El Paso, okay, for mining talent, okay, and let them be the leader of that brand, okay. Concrete talent, let them only focus on concrete, only focus manufacturing talent. We'll get a business leader for that, and I have a whole recruitment brands website that I'm developing too. So I have big dreams still. I want to wake up one day. I want to wake up one day and be one of the best known recruiting firms and staffing firms. I know for sure we're hitting in El Paso on the temporary side, but I want to be one of the top direct placement firms in U.S. Mexico at
I
least.
love that. So, just to clarify, you're not currently running Google Ads, but you're planning on turning
We've
that
just
back on,
started
or
again.
okay, great.
We've just started again.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we've just met this new company, and he's had some really great team members, and we're at the place now where we feel let's restart a campaign. Let's start rebuilding again. Remember, we were up to 15 to 18 people at one point, and it's a lonely place when you have to reorg and you're not hitting your numbers, and it happens. You get ahead of yourself and those type of things. We've reorged. We're a good, strong team, all working together, and there you go.
I love it. Um, Multiple revenue streams. What do you mean by that? I mean, the obvious thing is you've got direct hire and you've got temporary, and
Temporary.
you also have different industry sectors that you're involved in.
When in 2009, I could never get workers' comp insurance going out on my own, so I was direct placement only. Okay, I was one of the first virtual companies in 2009. We started a virtual company, and I could never grow beyond a certain amount without an office, I believe, because we couldn't. We would start trying to do temporary staffing, but they're like, "Where's your office?" and this type of thing. So it was really tough. If people are looking for laborers or they're looking for hourly staff, how can we help them? So I came up with recruiting projects. Okay. All right. So what we do typically at any given time, we had a great client of ours recently in North Georgia, over by Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they have 35 openings. So I contract out a bilingual Mexican recruiter to them, and they become an extension of their team for a 3-month period. Okay, and so that's a revenue stream. Recruiting projects. For my largest client, they had a truck driving campaign a few years ago, and they need to ramp up truck driving hiring. We worked for a year getting monthly revenue. So typically they started out years ago around $5,000 a month. Now they're about $8,000 to $10,000 a month for a recruiter to only recruit hourly for your company.
Got it. Oh, that's a
That's
cool idea.
one.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's like an
yeah,
embedded recruiter. They work, they're one of your team members, but you're contracting them to one of your clients who's paying you a
absolutely.
monthly
Fee.
retainer, yep,
Yeah,
for that person.
yeah. And people say, okay, why would you do this? Well, this covers a lot of operating costs, and I mean, it covers operating costs, and it also keeps us recruiting, correct? Because you lose it if you don't do it. It's fun to recruit for hourly people. I wish everybody, like you, Mark, or other recruiters, understanding an hourly campaign, what that involves, and how much time and effort needs to go into that. And we want to serve our clients too. We want to be successful, correct? We want to fill those positions for them. That's one revenue stream. In Mexico, we create another revenue.
How many of those contracts do you have going at any one time?
Typically, about they ebb and flow. By the way, they're only offered to our clients usually. We're not marketing this. It's our clients who are in a bind, and they're like, "Hey, David," or "Hey, Sparrow team," "Hey, Britt," "Hey, Marion," "Hey, Samaritana," whoever it might be. You know, we need help. Can you help us? And I go, okay, let's have a meeting. Let's talk. Let's pump in. While we're doing this, we are spending $1,500 in advertising during these times. We're not all. It's not all profit. We're paying. We're paying for a recruiter. We're paying for all the Indeed ads. We're paying for LinkedIn ads, whatever it might be. So we're investing money into this too. Um, and we've been very successful. It's usually 4 to 5 every 6 months or so. You know, yeah. Right now we just got done with 2 to 3 of them, and right now we don't have any. But I know we're going to get more. Okay. In Mexico, we started contracting Mexican employees to U.S. engineering companies. Okay. Um, Mexico has very strict labor laws. We have to dot our I's, cross our T's. As long as the company isn't incorporated in Mexico, we can contract people to engineers to U.S. companies.
Working in Mexico or working in the US?
Working virtually in Mexico, doing their design, doing
Ah,
their
I
back
see. Got it.
office, doing
Yes,
those type of
yes.
things. So we have 20 employees in Guadalajara, Mexico right now.
Fantastic. Oh, okay. I get it. I get it. So that's like consulting
Like
because
consulting, yeah,
you're,
absolutely.
uh, they work. Got it. Okay. So that's more like a contract recruiting rather than
It's
temp recruit. It's
contract
not
recruiting,
hourly.
exactly. Uh-huh. But we're dealing with, I mean, some people go to the Philippines for back office, some people go to Mexico, some people go Eastern Europe, India, wherever it might be. Um, so we do that as well. And Eduardo runs that business. Okay. The gentleman out of Tijuana who's been with me for years. And so these are different, and the temp revenue stream, and being open to different revenue, not just industrial, but administrative also. So all these are different revenue streams. I learned in 2009, feeling so alone, being only in one industry, and then the recession came, and what happened? There was no work. I mean, you had to. It was very, very tough. And I said one thing when I came out of the recession was I want to work in multiple industries and at multiple levels and serve people with top talent. Our trademark is shaping business with top talent. Okay. And that top talent might be an hourly person. It could be a president. It most likely will be a manager to VP level position. And so it'll most likely be in that group right there.
You mentioned earlier that you are very impulsive. How that often could be seen as a drawback or limitation. How do you see that as actually a positive that's helped you drive forward in business?
I don't take long to make a decision.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, long decision makers irritate me, and I don't understand them, but I understand it has to. When I have a candidate that tells me I need a week to think about this, I'm like, really? We've been talking for 2 months during the interview process. Haven't you already thought about this? This kills me. It kills me. You know, I'm a quick thinker. When I like something, I go for it. Period. All right. And when I saw this building, I remember I was in an argument with my oldest daughter saying, why don't you ever want to move to El Paso? Why don't you want to move to El Paso? Because I live in Northern California where it's beautiful. And I have two daughters up in Northern California, Isabella and Britt, and one just graduated. But I said, hey, why don't you move to El Paso? You can be a part of the business even more. Our Britt, our recruiter. And we got a knockdown drag out argument. And I woke up the next morning and I said, I'll show her. I'll buy an office building in El Paso. And I'll show her how committed I am to El Paso, Texas, period. The next morning
Wha-
at 8 o'clock in the morning, I go to the commercial real estate site. I see this building that I know, and I had an offer on it within an hour. Okay. So that shows you impulsivity.
Right.
Impulsivity is also helped me with hiring people. Marion, who works with us in Monterey, I mentioned her because we work very closely together. And when I saw her, I didn't want to scare her and offer her the position after a 30-minute interview. Well, this is 7 years later. Okay. And like, who is
Wha-
this Fishman guy calling me from the United States? And I'm in Monterey, Mexico, and he wants to hire me in 30 minutes? Yeah, it's like we haven't even had dinner together or whatever. Look at relationships. I've been very impulsive all across the board, and that's helped me. Has it hurt me? Yes, I got burned. Yeah, yes, I made impulsive hires, not many that haven't worked out. You know, I overly commit to customers sometimes, you know, and I look at the profit margins there and I go, wait a second. Um, I tell people I tell every one of our customers, if we're in an arm wrestle, you're going to win. I'm going to lose. If you need a better fee for this one position, for this one reason, for this, I will do it for you. And mind you, Mark, in 30 years, I've never returned $1 to a customer. Never. I have, because all my placements stick for years. Like what I mean is it's rare to have a fall off. I mean, when I place somebody, or I should say we place people, it's rare to get a fall off. And I've never had to return $1 to a company.
David, this has been awesome. I've really enjoyed hanging out with you. You've built a family business, you've got children in the business. What's the legacy that you want to leave as your contribution and for your family?
You know, I would say that number one, I tell people I do not like family businesses. Okay, I believe everybody has to work for what they get. All right, but I would also say that it's great working with family in one sense that you can see how they develop and contribute. What my legacy is probably, because I'm very devoted to my business partner in the temporary side. And I want to see this grow. Um, you know, an employee-owned business of some sort um, would be my dream probably, and then make sure that people who have contributed so much to our organization. Yeah, and so you can't see me right now, but I was getting choked up right there. I mean, um, so many, and I want to see that our Mexican staff, they have different retirement rules, that they have a sustainable business that they can hold on to, and maybe create a business that can bring in more partnerships where everybody can grow together and be protected. That's it.
Beautiful. That is amazing. And David, thank you so much for hanging out with me for over an hour now. And look forward to seeing you at a Pinnacle conference sometime soon.
Mark, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I really look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to The Resilient Recruiter. I know how busy recruiters are, so I'm honored that you're investing this time with me each week. I don't take your attention for granted. That's why I'm going all out to deliver value for you here, real insights you can apply to improve your business. And if you really want to help me to reach a wider audience and impact more people, please consider leaving the show a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you leave me a review, please reach out and let me know so I can thank you personally. Please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.